So last night we played you long clips from the president's recent address at Mount Rushmore. It may have been the best speech Donald Trump has ever given. It was succinct and clear, and it was true. And for all of those reasons, the Democratic Party and its many minions absolutely hated it. They denounced the speech, and this may not come as a complete surprise to you, as, quote, racist. Now, that's a slur long divorced from any actual meaning, but we should tell you that as a factual matter, it's a lie. There was nothing even conceivably racist about Trump's speech. Go watch it for yourself. There's not a racist word or idea in the whole thing. The only time Trump even brought up the Civil War was to praise Abraham Lincoln, who, thank God, won it. He never mentioned the Confederacy or anyone in the Confederacy. Instead, Trump praised unabashed American heroes like George Washington, Clara Barton, the Wright brothers, Jackie Robinson. Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois watched Trump's speech, or claimed she did. Her summary of it, quote, he spent all his time talking about dead traitors. George Washington, Clara Barton, Jackie Robinson, they are all, according to Tammy Duckworth, dead traitors. Pretty shocking. In case you think we're being unfair here, in the same interview, Senator Duckworth was asked if we should tear down statues to George Washington. Sure, she responded, let's talk about it. We played that tape for you last night, and we noted how grotesque it was. Only someone who hates the country would suggest ripping down monuments to its founder. Apparently, Tammy Duckworth saw what we said. She didn't disagree with it exactly. Instead, she questioned our right to criticize her at all, since she was once injured while serving in the Illinois Army National Guard. That's what passes for an argument in modern identity politics. They don't address the points that you make. They question your right to make them at all. The irony, of course, is that George Washington himself, the dead traitor Tammy Duckworth has such contempt for, also served in the military. Washington spent most of his adult life under arms. He fought in 2 wars. At one point, during the winter of 1777, Washington lost almost a quarter of his entire army to cold and malnutrition. So George Washington paid his dues. He was, as we might say today, a combat veteran. And by the way, Washington also created the country we live in. George Washington was a genuinely great man. But to morons like Tammy Duckworth, Washington is just some old white guy who needs to be erased. Let's tear down his statues, rename our capital city Sharpton or Mandela, and let the revolution continue. But hold on, not so fast. Changes that profound deserve a debate. Not some fake national conversation where they scream commands at you and you get to obey, but a vigorous, reasoned exchange between adults. We wanted to have an exchange like that with Tammy Duckworth tonight. So we called her office and we invited her on the show. Her flack informed us that before even considering our request, we must first issue a public apology for criticizing Tammy Duckworth. In other words, I will not debate you until first you admit you're completely wrong. Keep in mind, Tammy Duckworth is not a child, at least not technically. She is a sitting United States senator who is often described as a hero. Yet Duckworth is too afraid to defend her own statements on a cable TV show. What a coward. Tammy Duckworth is also a fraud. 5 years ago, while she was a member of Congress, whistleblowers from a VA hospital in Illinois approached Duckworth to report the widespread mistreatment of sick veterans. Remember that story? The whistleblowers met with Tammy Duckworth 3 times. She refused to help them. According to a cardiologist who attended those meetings, Duckworth dismissed the systemic cruelty inflicted on dying veterans by saying that, quote, that's just how it is at the VA. The whistleblowers were horrified by her response. Ultimately, in frustration, they took their story to the media, and it became a national scandal. This is the person lecturing the rest of us about her moral authority as a veteran. Spare us. Tammy Duckworth is a callous hack who ignored the suffering of actual veterans when it actually mattered. She has no moral authority. She is just a politician like the rest of them. She works for us. This is a democracy. She has an obligation to explain herself and answer our questions. And our first question would be, how can you lead a country you despise? And that's not something we would ask only to Tammy Duckworth, by the way. Hating America is a major theme in the Democratic Party right now. It's everywhere. Turn on